Last July, Nick, my son, and my daughter had been with friends at a bonfire one summer night. They had called and told me they were on their way home. It was a little bit before midnight. I expected them home within 15 or 20 minutes from where they said they were coming from. About 15 minutes later, I got a second phone call from my daughter, who was hysterical, crying, not understandable, saying that they had been in an accident and that Nick was hurt.
The driver fell asleep. We hit a tree that was right about there. We hit this telephone pole and kept going that way. I was in the back seat.
That was the portion of the car that severed a telephone pole and a tree.
All I remember is getting out of the car. I had no idea I was injured. I didn't know where I was.
Arrived on the scene to find the three of them, the driver and my son and daughter, both walking around outside the vehicle, which initially we thought was a good sign. Everybody's okay, you know, bumps and bruises. Emergency responders then arrived on the scene and started assessing everyone, determined that, yeah, probably my daughter and the driver were just minorly injured, but Nick was bruised and bleeding from head to toe, every inch of him.
They asked me what hurt, and I told them, and the first thing they did was they took my hands and they had me squeeze their hands as hard as I could.
In an emergency with a pediatric, it's as important to know what not to do as what to do. Thanks to the quick actions and the assessment of the folks that took care of Nick is up and about today. He had some pretty serious injuries that were hidden, and those first responders recognized Nick's injuries and brought him to the right place for the right care.
We arrived at St. Luke's. Again, we really still thought maybe, you know, a minor injury.
I thought I was going to the hospital for a concussion.
We were never prepared for what they were going to tell us. They said that he had a broken neck.
At the time, I didn't believe them. I was like, there's no way. And then once I got to Syracuse, it really set in that I was really injured.
2 vertebrae had been broken, and they were about 3 millimeters from severing his spine at that point. It was a very serious situation. He would need transfer immediately to a higher level of care facility that could intervene surgically. They did surgery on Nick's neck within about 5 hours of the accident. They put a plate in to stabilize the 2 discs and told us it went as well as could be expected. At that point, we could wait and hope that everything stayed where they put it during surgery. He just needed to stay calm and do as little as possible while he healed. We did nothing for months, waiting for that neck to heal.
For the first few months, it was really hard not being able to go out and run around and play soccer. I actually missed my first varsity season of soccer.
Happily, at the 6-month mark, Nick's neurosurgeon said he was happy to report that it looked like everything was going well. While he's not completely released from his restrictions, he's well on his way, and they've let him return to some activity. He can play soccer again. He can snowboard, believe it or not, with a broken neck. Thankfully, we had no snow last year, so we didn't have to make that judgment call. We're still waiting to get the word that it's completely fused and you don't have to go back into surgery for this.
The assessment of Nick and his care and treatment are a direct result of the training that's provided by our department. That training is funded by Project Kids Care, part of the Children's Miracle Network.
You think of the NICU and you think of pediatrics, but what I didn't realize was they also train our first responders and how to handle a pediatric emergency, not necessarily just a car accident, any kind of an emergency. I was pleasantly surprised that that was something that CMN does fund, and they did a phenomenal job with Nick on the scene of the accident. There's services out there that CMN provides that you may think you never need or will never need, but I'll bet you that if there's kids involved that need services at Faxon St. Luke's Hospital, CMN has funded or supported something that has helped those kids while they're there. I truly believe, had it not been for those first responders knowing just how important it was to keep everybody calm, Nick stabilized, and be trained in how to do that, I don't know where we would be today.